As basketball really started to take over my life, I moved from living with my family to going to IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. And that's where everything really blew up. I had every college coach and school in the country calling me. They wanted to come to practices, and that's where kind of my mind started going crazy of like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. I'm gonna be a top prospect, and I honestly really didn't know what that meant. And so as I got to IMG Academy, I was kind of meant as that big guy on campus. Everybody knew me, everybody knew I was, the #1 player in the state of Florida. And so that anxiety was trying to carry on that persona of being somebody great and not letting anybody see that I had any chinks in my armor. I was playing at IMG Academy, trying to decipher all these different schools and what's the right decision to make, and I ended up landing at Florida State.
For me, Coach Gates was everything when it came to me choosing Florida State. He was the one true connection that I had to Florida State.
I decided to choose FSU because of a coach. Coach Dennis Gates from Florida State was really the first coach that I had a real connection with out of all the coaches that were recruiting me. And it was more so because he showed a deep interest in who I was as a person and not just a basketball player. We got to talk about my dad being still in New York and us moving out here, or girls, or just what was going on in my life. And so I pretty much connected to him right away. And when all the hysteria came with all the different college coaches calling and different schools approaching me, I was like, I'm gonna go with what feels familiar and what feels like homey. And so that's why I decided to go to Florida State.
Many draft scouts compared Isaac to 8-time NBA All-Star Kevin Durant, who also happens to be the person he loves his game at.
My NBA idol is Kevin Durant. I love his length, his efficiency, and just everything about him.
They both obviously tall, they both scratching 7 feet, they both can dribble, shoot the three, shoot the pull up. He's like his little son.
When I got to Florida State, I had that same feeling of everyone expecting me to be this big man on campus.
The steal for Newton, right at Rattan Mays. Oh! Isaac swallows him up! Look at Isaac at 6'10", handle the ball and knock.
I'm the most highly recruited person at Florida State at the time. I'm the #1 player in the state of Florida, and there's just this focus on me leading this team to where they need to go. And that put immense pressure on me. I put the immense pressure on myself because I didn't want anyone to see that I was struggling. Behind the scenes, I would have these crazy panic attacks, or I would pass out just because the season was getting closer and closer and closer. And then, I was on anxiety medication for a large part of my career there. The energy of just like going crazy inside of my body, not really being able to control myself. And I would just have a terrible start to the game. And whenever I would have this terrible start to the game, we would get to halftime and I would just cry. I'd cry at halftime. None of my teammates saw. I would go off in this like separate room. But after the tears were gone, I was okay. And so I had kind of got all the anxious energy, all the anxiety out of the way, and I was able to just be me. And so the second half, I would dominate most games. And I think that's a big part of how I got to the NBA is those second halves.
As Jonathan Isaac rocks the stanchion. Rick got knocked down on the seat of his pants. Long distance, that one swished in and man dropping it off, no one in particular. Isaac.
I didn't have Coach Gates talking to me, during halftime of games and letting me know you can still do this, you're great, don't worry about it. I don't think I'd be the 6th pick in the NBA draft.
The Orlando Magic select Jonathan Isaac from Florida State University.
That'll be a pretty short move for Jonathan from Tallahassee athlete that runs with really long strides, and he's got the.
It was a lot of the same feeling as me going to IMG or me going to Florida State. I was excited about it. You know, my family's proud, everyone's happy, but there's still those thoughts in the back of my mind of like, am I ready?
You grew up in Naples, you played at Florida State. What does it mean to you to be drafted by a Florida team in Orlando?
Man, it means everything.
A lot of those thoughts just loomed in the back of my mind, and I wasn't really able to fully enjoy the moment that I was in, which is a great moment, a moment to be happy about, being able to change the legacy of your family and going to the NBA.
Isaac, and he measured, blocked the shot. That's 5 blocked shots. Quick hands by Jonathan. The shot clock is under 10. Millsap has it taken away. Relentless defensive play by Jonathan Isaac. Mr. Robinson just continuing to bat it. Look at Isaac rising to the top. Isaac, a beautiful defensive play by J.I.
Yeah, so me being in Orlando, there's just this immense pressure I'm putting on myself, and I'm just trying to keep my head as low as possible. And so I'm going to practice with the guys, and I'm just ducking off to my house to just play video games and just kind of get my mind off of the practice and everything. About a month into me being in Orlando, I'm doing everything that I want to do. I'm living my life. I'm trying to experience what the NBA has to offer. And then I get on an elevator one day and a gentleman stops me and he says, "I can tell you how to be great." What's up, y'all? I want to give a quick shout out to all of my Puerto Ricans. I am part Puerto Rican on my mom's father's side, but of course, shout out to all of Latin America and compren el libro.